I and my wife are not those people because my mother is also bat poo crazy. So my wife's mother-in-law is also a problem for her. But that's okay. Again, you don't marry your mother-in-law. You marry your wife. Little advice for y'all there. The funny story. You know how when you watch a kung fu or karate movie and it's set in Asia and the bad guys are always the Asians? You know what I'm saying, right, Jinwan? You know what I'm saying about this, right? The bad guys are always the Asians. You watch Star Wars Phantom Menace, the Trade Federation, the bad guys, they're Japanese. Like, listen to them talk, right? American movies, that's what they do. The bad guys are everybody that isn't white. And if they are white, the bad guys are British. Always. Always. You watch Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, all the Empire have British accents. All of them. Because they're the bad guys. The French are not bad guys. The French are allowed because the French helped the Americans in the American Revolution. Unless it's post-Iraq, because the French wouldn't fight the war in Iraq, so then the Americans are mad at the French now. That's why freedom fries exist instead of French fries. That's another story. So you know how the bad guys are always Asian, right? And then they show the white kid learning karate. And it's always from some kindly master, right? Wax on, wax off, put on the jacket, take off the jacket. If you watch the stupid Karate Kid with Jaden Smith, where it's not karate, it's kung fu, which is totally different, and Chinese, not Japanese, but that's okay. So take off the jacket, put on the jacket, and everyone's super nice to him, right? And then in the tournament, the bad Asian kids cheat, and they hurt the guy always, every time. You all with me on that? Yeah. And then they show the training montage of the good white kid, and he's like, oh, and it's all nice and slow motion with good music, right? And then they show the training montage in the Asian dojo, and it's every kid being beaten senseless and yelled at and screamed at, and there's no fun music, and the kids are all crying, but the guy's still yelling at them. You know what I'm saying? You guys have all seen this, right? Yeah. Well, I have a black belt in karate. I take karate in a dojo run by a white dude. He should have been raised in China by Hollywood directors because last night he treated us, and I use the word treat with air quotation marks, to the worst hour I have ever spent in my life. I am in agony. You can't tell because I'm not soft. But he beat us 6 ways from Sunday. And if you had had a video camera in there, you would have all been like, no, it's not like that. Nobody would pay to be treated that way. But it turns out some of us do pay to be treated that way. I think Sensei must have watched some sort of Asian martial arts movie on Wednesday night and felt that he was being too soft on us because it was not pleasant at all. At all. Like 500 sit-ups, 3 minutes of planking on your front, and then 3 minutes on your side, then 3 minutes on your other side, then 3 minutes backwards. 3 minutes! Backwards! And then we sparred. And then we had to do balance work. Sit on your knees on a ball after you've done 500 sit-ups. Your core hurts. Hurts. And you're all shaky and out of breath. Because you think, oh, I'm only going to a white guy karate class. It'll be fine. You don't prepare for it. You don't hydrate. You don't eat extra food. It's a Canadian karate class. Hiya, hiya. Yay, you're all awesome. Here's a black belt. No, it's not like that. So anyway. My wife is starting karate with her kindergarten class. I think she's probably going to go the put on your jacket, take off your jacket route. I hope she doesn't. I hope she goes hardcore on the little buggers. But that's just me. All right. We talked about pyramids and prisms. They're easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay? you got to be aware that all a pyramid and a prism is shapes that you already know folded together like origami to make a new shape, right? Every pyramid and prism can be represented by a two-dimensional flat drawing, okay? Those two-dimensional flat drawings, by the way, in case anyone cares, I can't remember if I told you this or not. The 2D representations, reps of pyramids and prisms are called, does anybody remember? Nets. So if you see on a test, draw a net, that means you draw a 2D representation of the thing that we have, right? So if it's a square-based pyramid, you got a square with 4 triangles coming off of it. Yeah? Everybody knows what I mean, right? You did the million of them in grade 9, yeah? Yeah. Okay. Now, a sphere, and I like saying the word sphere that way. Bad for you guys because sometimes I spit when I say sphere, but you're wearing glasses, you'll be okay. Always wear safety goggles when you're in the splash zone. Spheres cannot be represented flat because it's not a repeated shape, right? It's actually a circle spun around. Picking up what I'm putting down? That's what a sphere is. So you can't draw it because when you flatten it out, it would just be a circle, right? It's a pancake. So there's no net for a sphere. So also, suffice to say, it is also impossible to show you why these formulas work, right? For pyramids and prisms, it's easy. Why is the surface area of a pyramid what it is? Well, it's 4 triangles and a square. You just add it up, right? Why is a prism's volume what it is? Well, it's the area of the base stacked on top of each other. Makes perfect sense. These, you can't explain it. Okay? These are experimental. These were found by over and over and over again experimenting and then developing the formula. There's no common sense here. Everybody with me? Okay. So, needless to say, we have 2 formulas. Now, please be aware, these 2 formulas are both on your data booklet. Okay? They're both in your data book. All right? Be careful which one you use. Okay? Because a great many people, even though they have it written right in front of them, will use these poorly. Okay, picking up what I'm putting down. You'll start with pi d squared, and then you'll end up working with this one. You understand what I'm saying? Or vice versa. So be very, very careful when you're dealing with these. Choose your formula and work it all the way through. Okay? And be aware that radius and diameter, how many diameters are there in a sphere?
1.
Really? There's infinite, right? It doesn't have to go across the bottom, right? Same with the radius. There's an infinite amount of radii, yes? Also, what do you have to remember about every diameter and every radius? No matter which one of the infinity of radii I could draw here, what do you have to remember about all of them? They're all the same, right? So keep that in mind too. Everybody cool? All right. So spheres, really all you can do is follow the formula. There's only a couple of little tricks, and I'll show you when we get to them. Okay? So let's look at this formula. I don't like this formula because this formula creeps you guys out because you don't like the fraction. This is, I believe, how it's written on your data booklet, yes? Yeah. The way I like to do this formula is 4 pi r cubed, and then I divide the whole thing by 3. That's how I actually use this formula. Okay? This is the way math guys like to write it. I don't know why. I cannot figure out why they want to write it this way. I think it's because math guys know that fractions confuse the general public, and math guys want you people to be confused by math so you don't become math guys. You understand what I'm saying? They like seeming smart. Kind of like lifeguards like feeling smart and powerful at the pool. Right? Because, let's be honest, lifeguards' real job is to make sure that nobody has any fun at the pool. No splashing, no shoulder rides, they're always getting mad at you. You've never had a lifeguard get mad at you?
Aren't lifeguards supposed to save you after you do that?
Yes, they are. But they make sure that nobody has any fun at the pool. Because then you won't take swimming lessons, then you won't become a lifeguard, and then they won't lose their cushy lifeguard job. Because lifeguards are paid very good money. Yeah. Yeah. Right? It's a good gig. But if everybody got it, then there'd be too many lifeguards. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of, well, not school, but it's a lot of courses. I agree. But by the same token, you should get to have fun at the pool. Right? I'm a grown-up. If I have my 6-year-old on my shoulders, it's going to be okay. Which is why my kids, whenever we go to any pool that doesn't have a lifeguard, that's the first thing they walk in. Yeah, no lifeguards! That's why my kids like going to hotels. Because there's no lifeguards in the pools, and I can throw them around like maniacs. Which, of course, I do. It's very fun. It's like the Ultimate Warrior in wrestling, because I still can do this with my kids. So I walk around the pool, and then I throw them. But my son is getting too big to do that. I don't want to tell him he's getting too big to do that. I don't want him to get a complex, so I tell him I'm getting weak. But it's not. My son's getting fat. He's not really getting fat. He's just growing, right? He's 12 years old, right? And he's in grade 6, and, big kid. But even he's starting to see it. Somebody at rugby practice asked him what he got for Christmas. He said, fat. I was like, oh, good boy. My daughter today, we told her she had to scoot home, and she was like, oh, thank goodness, Daddy, I'm getting so chubby. No, you're not, Beth. But to be fair, I gave her 30 cookies to take to school today. It's Valentine's Day. My daughter is celiac. She can't eat gluten, and teachers always have treats for their kids that my daughter can't eat, so she never gets treats. So I made cookies for her. Yeah, I'm that dad. Made the dough last night, got up at 5:30 this morning to bake them. Yeah. All right, let's do some math. Oh, look, Amber's wrapping a present for her brother, and it's a basketball, because her brother is worried, because it was Christmas time. She finds that the ball requires 2,500 centimeters squared of wrapping paper. What's the radius of the ball? Now, this is, of course, an idiotic math question, isn't it? Because you would never wrap a basketball as a ball. You would put it in a box, or you would deflate it and put it in a box. You would not wrap a sphere, because that would be stupid. Oh, I wonder what I've got for my birthday. But all of you are aware that math questions exist to test your math knowledge, not your real life knowledge. So, here we go. This question is extra awesome because not only does it test your mathematical reasoning, it also tests your algebra skills, which is something that isn't officially part of grade 10, but you better be good at algebra to do the stuff that is officially part of grade 10. Picking up what I'm putting down? So, we are going to follow the exact same thing that we always do with this. Because if we follow the rules, we can't go wrong. Just like Mark Twain says, if you never tell a lie, you don't got to remember anything. Anyone? It's pretty deep. You don't get it?
No, it's deep.
It is deep. Because, of course, that's the only way you get caught in a lie, when you forget and you tell the wrong lie to the wrong person. All right. So, the surface area equals 4 pi r squared, yes? Yeah. How many unknowns are there in that equation? Parveen? One? Right now, how many unknowns are there? In this equation that I've written in here, what are the two unknown values? There's two of them. Yes. What are they? The radius and the surface area. Now we go back to our question. We find out that we do indeed know one of those, don't we? Which one do we know? Surface area. So the surface area is 2,500 equals 4 pi r squared. Now, this is where you guys go a little, even if you're good at algebra. How would you solve 4r equaled 16? What would you do? Parveen? You divide by 4, right? Okay. So I got a 4 here, don't I? So what do I got to do to get rid of it? Divide by 4. Excellent. Now we got a pi. Now here's where you guys go confuzzled. What is pi? It's a number. 3.14159 out to an infinite amount of decimal places. Why do we write pi instead of 3.141591783 all the way out? Why do we write pi? Because we can't write the number for pi, can we? Because it goes for how long? Ever. So pi is just another number. Pi times r. So how do I get rid of pi multiplying r? I divide by pi. Everybody with me? Using pi this way might be new to some of you. Start thinking of it that way. It's just another number. Okay? So if I've done this to the right-hand side of the equation, what do I got to do to the left-hand side of the equation? Same thing. Now some of you will be looking at that, and now what are we left with? What happens to these 4 pi's? They cancel. So now I've got 2,500 over 4 pi equals r squared. How do you get rid of a squared, like in Pythagoras, at the end? You square root it, right? So you're going to square root that side, which means what do you got to do to this side? Same thing. Now here you got to use your calculator. You could go further with in your head, but eventually you're going to need to get to your calculator, most likely. Right? Now, we haven't done square rooting yet in grade 10 because it goes further than it did in grade 9. In grade 9, you all would just go to your calculator, right? If I gave you the square root of 51, you don't go square root 51 and tell me it was 7.1, right? That's what you do in grade 9. Everybody cool with that? In grade 10, we don't do that anymore. We haven't done that yet, so we're going to go with our grade 9 rules. So what do you do here on your calculator to find this answer? Noah.
Square root of 2,500 divided by 4.
Yeah, it's a little hard to punch in though, right? You can punch it all in one step if you know what you're doing, but a great many of you will want to go in chunks, right? So most of you are looking at a calculator similar to mine. So to do this question, what I would do is I would go 2,500 divided by bracket 4 pi. Why must I have those brackets there? Bed mass. Because if I don't put those brackets there, it's going to do 2,500 divided by 4 and then multiply that by pi. Everyone understand? So there, and that's going to give me an answer. Now on my calculator, it gives me that. Everybody okay? Some of your calculators will not give you something, won't give you decimals, but that's okay. Now what do I got to do with that number? Square root it. Now here's something that a lot of you guys aren't aware of on your machines. Most of you are going to write that number out on your piece of paper somewhere, aren't you? Right? So I'm going to go ahead and do something a little funky with my screen here so my calculator can stay on. Okay. So over here now, most of you are going to go r squared equals 198.94. And you're going to round it there, aren't you? Everybody okay with that? Is everyone okay with what I've done?
Yep.
Now, you know as well as I do that we got to square root this, don't we? But the thing we're square rooting is not actually 198.94, is it? It's 198.9436789, and who knows how long that goes on. Everybody with me? So here's the tip. In grade 10, do not ever push clear on your calculator until you're sure. Do you understand what I'm saying? I still need this number, not this number. This is only here for my work. Do you understand? So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go square root. Now on my calculator, it disappeared anyway. Oh my God, what was the number? Well, I wrote down 198.94, so I have a vague idea what it is. But here's something that many of you don't know about your calculator. It will store the last answer you gave it. As soon as you hit the equals button, your calculator will say, I need to remember this. And you will notice if you have a decent calculator, somewhere on it you will see ANS. That stands for answer. When you hit that button, you will get the last thing your calculator did for you. Okay? Is everybody aware of that feature? I hope you are. If not, that's my gift to you for math class today. So for my calculator, since it's in green, I have to hit the green button. Not second, I have to hit the green alpha button to get the green thing. Everybody cool? That's just how I do it. Most of you, it's probably not an alpha. It's probably a second function. Some of you, if you're really lucky, will have just an ANS key on your calculator. Yeah, that's real handy. So I'm going to go square root alpha answer. Right? Now it's going to square root the answer. That answer is 1.94 or 193.943789. Okay? So it's going to give me the exact square root that I need. 14.1. Now, 0.10. Is everybody cool with that? Now please look. If I did the square root of 198.94, which is what I had, I will still get 14.1, won't I? And that's okay. But where it could screw you up is if we were going to the second decimal place, and if you use the whole number, this might have been 5, right? So it would be 14.11, wouldn't it? And 14.10, right? That's another thing they like to do to you on the provincial exam. Okay? Picking up what I'm putting down? So what's the key? Don't hit clear until you know you need to hit clear. And remember that answer feature. All right? And when in doubt, at least write it down somewhere in case you need it again. Cool? All right. So let's go to the next one. The next one causes people a lot of trouble. Jim placed 3 golf balls in a 3x3x9 cardboard box. If the balls fit perfectly snugly against all sides of the box, find the volume of the box which remains as empty space. Again, is this a real life question? No. The comet is hurtling towards Earth that will destroy us all. Does it matter if you can find the empty volume in a golf ball box? Of course not. But do you want people with minds nimble enough to figure this out? To be working on the comet problem? I know I do. I don't want me trying to fix the comet problem. I'm a high school math teacher. I want doctors of math and doctors of physics saving the day. You will notice my math education ended good enough to teach high school. It did not end with, I'm going to find the next universe. Okay? Some people are out there working on that. I just heard a bit of thing on the radio last night that they just found some sort of gravitational wave. Did you actually hear it? I had to turn it down because I had to use my phone. I was pissed off. What was it, Mitchell? What would they find? Something about this area of space that if you compress like 1,000 suns, the mass of 1,000 suns into this area, and then accelerate it to half the speed of light, it would do something crazy. I don't know what it is because I didn't hear the whole thing, but apparently it's quite revolutionary, and I haven't had time to Google it yet. I will be Googling it on my prep. I will have more to tell you about it on Monday, because apparently it's going to change the way we understand the universe. Who knows? Maybe it will be the way aliens get to us. I hope not, because if aliens show up, we're in big trouble. Because if they can get here, they're better than we are. And they're going to see what we're doing to our one little planet that we can't get off, and they're going to say, ooh, yuck, we better not let those people leave. Or they're going to find us following around dogs scooping up their poo. And they're going to think dogs are the masters. And they're going to talk to dogs. And then they're going to realize, those are the masters? Those? They eat cat crap. And then they're going to, try to colonize the dogs and subjugate the humans. Good times. All right. So why is this a fun question for me, the math teacher? What do you have to do to be able to do this question?
Albatross. No.
Albatross?
I don't know how to say it.
Algebra?
Yeah.
A little bit. What do I have here? What shape is the box? A rectangular prism, right? What shape are the spheres?
Circles.
What shape are the golf balls? Spheres. Damn! How many golf balls do we have?
3.
3. So what I've got is I got a box that has a certain volume, doesn't it? Right? That volume is filled up mostly by what? 3 golf balls. So I'm going to be lazy and I'm just going to draw a circle. 3 golf balls. Now, of course, those golf balls are also over here. Don't be that way. It's very hard to draw a 3-dimensional sphere on flat paper. Right? Everybody cool? All right. So what then is all this? That's the empty space. That's what I care about, right? So why is this question so awesome for me as a math teacher? Because you guys have to actually think about this. Negative space is a big deal in math class. Everybody wants to fill stuff up, but everybody forgets about the stuff that isn't filled. You know what I'm saying? Next year you're going to do probability a lot. And you guys are all worried about the probability of something happening. What are the chances I'm going to do this? But most of you will forget at the beginning of your probability units that the chances of something happening are just as important as the chances of it not happening. You understand what I'm saying? So in this question, you're used to finding volumes and you're used to finding surface areas and things. But it's just as important to remember that for every bit of volume that exists, there's volume that doesn't exist. Picking up what I'm putting down? So how are we going to figure out this empty space? What is it? Before we do any math with numbers, conceptually, what is happening here? What do I have?
A box filled with golf balls.
Okay. So how will I find the empty volume now, knowing what you know? Parveen.
You would try to figure out how much you find out the volume of the rectangular prism.
Okay. So it's volume of a prism. Then what? Then what would you do? Don't write it down yet. Let's talk about it.
Then you would figure out the volume of the 3 spheres and subtract
Subtract
it.
it. So it's volume of a prism minus 3 spheres, isn't it? Now, believe it or not, this question often causes people difficulty because they don't do that step. Once you do that step, is this difficult? What's the volume of a prism? Area of base times height. What's the base of this prism? Right there, right? 3 by 3, right? And the height is 9. So it's LWH minus 3. What's the volume of a sphere? 4 pi r cubed over 3, yes? Now, quick, do some albatross. There's a 3 there and a 3 on the bottom. What happens? Cancels. So it's gone. So I've got LWH minus 4 pi r cubed. And now all of a sudden this question is super easy, isn't it? What's the LWH? 339. 3 times 3 times 9 minus 4 pi. What's r? Radius. What's the radius here? I didn't give you a radius. 1.5. And that is punch-inable, not really a word, but you can punch that into your calculator as it is, right? Why would I caution you against punching that in as it is? Because there's a lot of numbers there. And sometimes you can meet your friend outside in a sex. Right? I told you that story. I didn't? No. I sent my friend a text, I'll meet you outside in a sec. S-E-C. But C and X are right beside each other. And your cell phone doesn't autocorrect when it's an actual word. Doesn't check for grammar. And I sent my friend a text, I will meet you outside in a sex. I kept the text. I still have it. It was to my good friend, Miss Ballback, as a matter of fact. If any of you have had her for a teacher, none of you would have because you were in grade 9 last year. It was to Miss Ballback, who is one of my best friends and also one of my wife's best friends. She was like, I don't think Catherine would appreciate that. So I would caution against trying to punch this all in at once, especially since 3 times 3 times 9 you can do in your head, can't you? 81 minus... Now over here you're in a bit of trouble because 1.5 squared is a little hard in your head. Of course it's 2.2 or 1.5 cubed, is a little hard in your head. It's not 2.25. It's I don't even know. Not in my head. Pardon me? 15,000?
Yeah,
3.375. That sounds about right. Times 4 times pi. Then you're going to do that with your calculator. Right? And what are we going to get? Well, what do you get on this side right here? You get something. 42.42, I believe. And then, yes, 38.56. Everybody cool? That's the empty space. Everybody with me? It's not hard. What makes it not hard? This step. What is being asked of you before you ever touch a number? It makes it so easy. Even if you don't understand where the formulas come from. Once you do this step right here, if you have your data booklet, you're golden, aren't you? All right. I wish to stop. And I wish for you guys to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the next page. I would like for that to be done today before you leave. Okay? In a perfect world. Doesn't have to be, because if it isn't, what am I going to do? Keep you here? Not let you go to your next class? No, of course not. Get as much done as you can. All right? Also, I'm going to give you a worksheet, okay? Because you got the whole weekend to work on it. Everybody good? Now, please notice this right here. What does that mean? Don't go by the picture. I drew it that way because it was easier for me to draw. The numbers are what matters because it's a math class. Understand? And here is what I mean. This side is 8 meters. This side is only 1 meter. Quite obviously, That is not 1/8 of this side, is it? Okay? Don't go by the pictures in math class ever. Unless the pictures say they are to scale. Then you can. But in this case, it's not. So the diagram is just there for your ease of use. Okay? Everybody good? All right. Now, I will give you a couple of hints about this. Number 3B is very difficult to do if you are not in the classroom. And the rest of it is pretty easy. I will give you fair warning. Number 1 and number 2 are almost never done well. Even though you have all the tools you need to do number 1 and number 2, they are almost never answered correctly. I can count on my hands how many times in 17 years I have had students answer number 1 and 2 correctly without any help from me. Who thinks they might be the first? Let's find out. Dun, dun, dun. Go. Of course, I will assist you in conceptualizing. I will not assist you in mathematicizing, which isn't a word. So don't use that 3 times today, because it won't be yours forever, because it's not a word. People think you're dumb, like when I say irregardless. My wife gets really mad because she thinks that other people will think that I think that that's a real word. But it isn't. Except that now it is, because Webster's finally gave up and accepted it into the English language. Because so many people have been saying it wrong for so long, they just gave up. Fine, you can have it. It's a word. Irregardless. Because, of course, irregardless means without without regard, and less means without regard. So it's without regard. So if it was without regard, it would be with regard. But everybody uses it to mean, I don't care. It's irregardless. And that's wrong. It's because of the word irrespective, which is a word. Magnus. Yes, that's exactly what I just said. Irregardless is not officially a word, but it is now officially a word because they have given up trying to stop people from using it. The English language, we have gotten so stupid that the English language has given up trying to keep us from being stupid. They recognize that there's no chance we're letting it go.
That's funny.
That's why words like selfie are in the dictionary now. Do! What Homer Simpson says, D''OH, is in the English language now. Sadly, I am not in